the pin that I held up at the beginning of the stream, which is not that, which is this little pin right here. And as you might know, if you live in Alberta, there was a gentleman named Bruce Johnson, who was a person with a disability, and he ended up ending his life because of the changes that the government is making. And like I said, there are a lot of people with disabilities who are gonna fall through the crack because of this program. There are a lot of people with disabilities who are terrified, who not only don't know how they're going to live off of 1740 or 1540, 1740 or 1740, which will be what the benefits are for ADAP and ACE respectively, come December 2027. No, January. Yeah, the end of December 2027. But more importantly, they don't know how they're gonna find a job. They don't know how they're gonna work. They don't know, they're terrified that if they're on ADAP and they don't find a job, that they're gonna be kicked off. Because that is a possibility. And there are people out there that'll say, oh, they should be so grateful that they get this money from the government. But not everybody is as privileged as I am. Not everybody has the ability to go to an employment agency and say, help me find a job. And more often than not, that job can be found. There are a lot of people with disabilities who live with chronic pain, chronic fatigue, chronic disabilities that prevent them from working, from having a job, from having a 9-to-5 job. On top of that, not only do they have to pay their rent or their mortgage, not only do they have to pay for their medication or their prescription, not only do they have to pay, their bill, their electric, all of that, they also have to pay for the thing that they need to help their disability. So whether that a mobility aid, whether that medical supplies, whatever it is, whatever they need, whether it's prescriptions that aren't covered by ACE or ADAP, they have to pay for those things. And 1740 or 1540 is not a lot of money if you can't work, if you can't supplement that income. And, one of the things, too, is say that you have a mobility aid, say that you have a walker. Like, I have a walker. I've got a walker. Actually, no, let's not use walker. Let's use a wheelchair. Or, a walker as somebody who has more reduced mobility and, relies on the walker more. That walker or that wheelchair is kind of like their car, their mode of transportation to get them around. So, obviously, because they use that mode of transportation every day, all the time, it's gonna break down. There's gonna be problems with it. There's going to be things that go wrong with it. And Alberta's aids to daily living will pay to have that mobility aid fixed one time. And then if it breaks down again, well, you're sort of out of luck, is kind of what the government says. You have to get it fixed on your own. So, that's why I say that there's a lot of people who are gonna fall through the crack. There's a lot of people who will unfortunately not make it through this. Will not make it through this fight. And that is absolutely awful. You know, the measure of any society is how it treats its most vulnerable. And if you know me, you know I hate that word, but I'm gonna use it. And the UCP has proven time and time and time and time and time and time again that they do not give a rat ass about people with disabilities. They don't. They didn't even consult with people with disabilities before they came up with the Asian Aid app. But anyway, back to the pin. Yeah, these were created essentially to remember the people who didn't make it through, who weren't able to survive the fight, and who, you know, fell without support, basically. People who fell without support. And the idea is that if you wear one of these, if you wear one of these, it shows somebody with a disability in that room that you're in, or in that place that you're in. It says to them, that person understands. And it helps them understand that they are not alone. That they are not alone in this fight. We are all in this fight together. We are all in this fight together. And that, I think, is what we need more than anything right now. You know, I remember when the government defunded the Disability Advocacy Group, Health Advocacy Federation, Disability Action Hall, and the Southern Alberta Individualized Planning Association. And I remember that, you know, we still are all heartbroken, devastated, hurt, and everything by that decision by the government. And we fought tooth and nail. But I specifically remember when when we held when we did a media release. I didn't say press conference, but that's like a media release. And we did it over Zoom, and 115 plus people came to that news conference. And it was people with disabilities, it was people without disabilities, it was allies, it was everybody. And I remember having tears in my eyes. Fast forward a little while later, I made a TikTok about it. And I thought, you know, nobody really gonna care about what's going on, you know, it's fine. I made a TikTok about it. At that time, 42,000 people saw that TikTok. And the comments were all filled with love and support and anger and sadness for the disability community. And, to me, seeing that many people come together and show their support to the disability community is what made me realize that we can win this fight. Because there are people, everyday, non-disabled people, who do care about people with disabilities, who do care about what we're going through, who do want to help. And so, fast forward to ADAP, the rally that we held in October of last year, it was around the same time that the students were doing their walkout for the teachers. Because the UCP basically forced them back to work when they were striking. And so I got to the legislature with a friend of mine, and the kids were there. They were having their protest, their rally, right before ours. And some people said to me, like, do you think there's gonna be a problem? Like, do we need to let them know and all this stuff? Well, we invited them to stay after their rally, and stay at our rally. And they did. I don't know how many people were there. I'm not good at gauging crowd size. I would venture, yeah, maybe 1,000 people. But again, it shows that there are a lot of people out there who do care, who want to help, who want to support. And that is what our community needs right now. We need our allies to stand with us and to say, you're not alone, we're here, we're gonna help. And like I said, one of the ways that you can do that is by getting one of these rose pins. And you can go to the Alberta Disability System breakdown website, click on rose pin at the very top, and get one. They're completely free, they don't cost anything. They're made by Chantal, and they're very pretty. And you can play a lot with this pin. You can play a lot by the actions that you take. And, check in on your friends with disabilities, your family members with disabilities, and see how they're doing, because there's a lot of people out there with disabilities who are struggling. Who are absolutely terrified about what's gonna happen to them. What their next meal's gonna be, how they're gonna pay their rent or bill. The other thing that you can do, and not that we haven't sent enough letters and emails to the government, but you can send letters, you can send emails. But also, even if you voted for the UCP in the last election, and you're looking at the stuff they're doing to people with disabilities, and you're saying, you know what, I can't support this government. I can't. That's fine. Because you have two options in the next election. You have the Alberta NDP, and you have the Alberta Progressive Tory Party. The Alberta Progressive Tory Party, Peter Guthrie, who is the leader, and yes, he was an ousted UCP MLA, he met with Albertans advocating for change together, which is an organization I'm involved in. And I want to mention this part because I think it shows a lot of somebody's character. He didn't have any staffers with him at that event, that meeting. He came by himself with pen and paper, scribbling down everything that we told him, everything that we said. And, you know, the NDP has done that many times. The NDP has met with people with disabilities all the time. But I'm talking to the people who are conservative and who feel like the UCP is their only option. It's not. And you don't have to vote NDP if you don't want to vote NDP. But the Progressive Tories, they are a viable option. And I really need people to stop saying that they aren't. They are a truly viable option, and I think that a beautiful thing would be for the Alberta NDP and the Alberta Progressive Tories to be across the aisle from each other. Because, and maybe I'm naive. I don't think I am, but maybe I'm naive. But I think that we would actually see parties working together to find solutions instead of, attacking each other. Instead of creating division, they would create unity. Because the only way that you're going to ever help everybody is by working together. So, I didn't mean to turn that into a political speech, but what I'm saying is look at your options in the next election. The Alberta Progressive Tory Party is planning to, run a full slate of candidates. If you align more with conservative values, progressive conservative values, then vote for the Alberta Tory Party. Get involved with the Alberta Tory Party. But that alone, looking at your other options and saying, you know what, the UCP has fucked over people with disabilities for far too long, so I'm going to stand with people with disabilities and I'm going to vote them out of government. That is powerful. And that is one way that you can stand with people with disabilities. Because this government has proven time and time again that they're not going to. So, yeah. Please stand with us. Go buy a beautiful rose pin. Not buy. Go get a beautiful rose pin. There we go. Go get a beautiful rose pin. Check out. Oh, I should mention as well, if I didn't already, the Alberta Disability System Breakdown also has a Facebook page that you can join, and make sure that you check out the podcast.